Hey, welcome to the Lovelda Show, Women of Power podcast. I'm your host, Lovelda Vincenzi, and this is the show where women share their personal power tools, which I define as the tools, techniques, or strategies which have enabled their success in life and business. I ask all of my guests to be real, raw, honest, authentic, and vulnerable, dare I say. So this is a girl chat show like no other, where we really do dive into what it is to be a powerful woman, the real tools behind a woman's success. Now, if you're on this channel, do hit that subscribe button right now and hit the bell to make sure that you're notified when new shows are added. You can also subscribe to find us on Instagram, which is at Lovelda Show. You'll find all links that have been shared in the show in the show notes. And right now we're going to hop straight over whilst I do a audio introduction before we jump into the full show. So let's get started. Hey, chicas, welcome to the Lovelda Show, Women of Power podcast, the show where women share their personal power tools, the techniques, strategies, and ways of being which have enabled their success in life and business. I'm your host, Lovelda Vincenzi, an international MC and host and female speaking business coach on a mission to unleash authentic, powerful female voices onto the world. This is a girl chat show like no other, as I ask all of my guests to get real, raw, and authentic whilst they share what I can only describe as pure gold nuggets of wisdom. This episode is no different, as we'll be uncovering the power tools of Chella Diaz. Now, Chella knew from a very young age that she was different from all of the other kids. She was able to see and feel things that other kids just couldn't. She didn't want to stand out, so she put her gifts to sleep. She was married for 17 years and has 2 sons. For over 10 years, Chella has been on her own spiritual journey. The list of certifications and programs she's completed is quite extensive, but to include a few, she's done Reiki Master Training, she's a Reiki teacher, Starlight Energy Training, and her most recent, which brought all of her certifications together in a powerful way, was 9th Dimension Healing Energy Training. Chella is a vessel for 9th dimensional healing energy, and she meets clients where they are and provide them with the tools that they need to get them where they want to go. Now, what she also does, and what we discuss very deeply in this episode, is that she works quite deeply with women who really want to scale up their businesses. I mean, the woman is not afraid of the money conversations and what goes on there. So this episode really focuses on how do you have those 2 distinct parts of your personality in business and bring them together for the most optimum effect. So we are really looking into having a spiritual depth and having a strategic depth and marrying those together so beautifully to have a gorgeous impact on your clients and the world at large. So that's what we'll be diving into. But remember, if you want to get more from sharing your expertise, you can use the link in the show notes to download a free copy of my Speaker Marketing Blueprint, which is your guide to building the speaking marketing assets that reflect your expertise, increase your fee regardless of if you're brand new to speaking or ready to level up your speaking career. You'll also find in the show notes links to my latest offers. And at the moment, the doors are open to join my free 3-day Paid to Speak series. It's back, folks. It's 3 days, 45 minutes a day, where I talk you through what it really takes and the simple tasks you can start doing right now that will shift you from unpaid to more paid, or from low paid to high paid speaking engagements. Additionally, in the notes, you will also find links to any of the links that my guests share in the show. And I can tell you in this particular episode, Chella was counting. I mean, we have actually made this one $100,000 episode. That's how deep the tips go in this episode. So you are definitely going to want to check the show notes. And just before I forget, before we dive in, make sure that if you would like to get your regular fix of this show, that you hit that subscribe button right now to get links as soon as a new show is added. Or you can use the button to subscribe and get notifications directly into your inbox. That is me done. I have said more than enough. Let's dive in because we got $100,000 to pick up today, chicks. $100,000. Let's get on with the show. Hey, chicas. Welcome back to the Lovelda Show Women of Power podcast. Oh, it's juicy. Oh, you know what? Like you get to a certain point, maybe you don't know this. I'm just going to share it. I get to a certain point in my podcast, which is bittersweet because it's like so exciting that I'm meeting all these great people. And at the same time, in the back of my head, I'm so sad because at some point the season's going to come to an end. But we're not even close yet. So I need to just put that to the side of my mind. In today's episode, so excited. So right now at the moment, there's this little thing called a pandemic going on that's been running havoc on everybody's flaming lives, right? And then we have these two worlds that I've always fascinated me. You've got the world of like e-commerce, not e-commerce, just commerce in general and money and making things happen. And then you've got this like spiritual world of trusting and abundance and the law of attraction and all of that jazz. Here's the thing, when life is good, the law of attraction stuff feels real simple. It's kind of like, let me sit and hum things into existence. When we are in the tornado that is a pandemic with all of these moving parts and everything else going on, it can feel a little bit less easy to be in that space. And then we can switch to the other side where we're looking at like the money mindset and kind of much more heavy stuff. Well, here's the thing. Today's guest, she does both of them. And I mean like deep. Like I'm talking about a spiritual healer, somebody like who lives in that space. I'm like healing and training and all of that, like in the depths of the spiritual space. And if you go look on this woman's Instagram, she's just like a coach for six-figure women who want to make more money. I mean, it's like two freaking extremes. So I needed to get her on the show so that I can understand how the hell you take these two worlds and marry them together, because I think some of us need a clue. So please welcome my guest today, Chella Diaz.
Oh my goodness. I'm going to take you with me. I think we should travel. I think we should just go on the road. I think you need to open up with that. And I'll come out and I'll say, well, folks, that's it.
That's all she wrote. See, all of those years on stages, I've been missing them. I haven't been like really, well, I haven't emceed on any physical stage since January because all of the ones I love doing closed down. So I needed to find a way to kind of implement that skill in a way that would be fun. So I'm glad you appreciated your intro. I didn't tell one, not even a little itty bitty white lie in there. All truths.
I am so delighted to be here. Oh my goodness. Get ready, folks. Buckle up. We're going to go for a ride right now.
I mean, I'm going to have to go back a bit and find out, because just before we came on to record, I was asking you about this because my personal journey has been this, firstly, a very kind of, do I say kind of heady, strategic, working things out from that space. I was in sales and everything was, if it was going to be done, it's got to be me, it's all done by me. And then I just started discovering this law of attraction stuff, and then realized that, sometimes I could say things and they were literally just like I would be reading people's thoughts. I would just know. That shit was scary. I'm not going to lie. But when I looked at these two spaces, when it came to business, I'm like, how the hell do you put those two things together? Because I'm either sat down humming, and nothing's happening, or I'm stressed the hell out trying to get stuff done. And the humming people did not seem to be making very much money. And the people who were making money were too stressed. I really didn't want to be either. So how on earth did you end up with these two worlds so deeply steeped? How did that happen?
Well, it took many, many years, and I was you. I was the Excel spreadsheet, right? I was in the corporate world. I got to make it happen. I bought my first car when I was 17, my house when I was 23. I was the doer.
Girl, you were a high achiever.
Yeah, well, just a little bit, right? But I was the doer, right? I was a mom, I was a wife, and I had a full-time job. So I lived in that world, right? And it was not until after my divorce that I found out there was a void. Doing all that stuff kept me busy for very long. But down deep, when you take the husband out of the equation, and he's a lovely man, don't get me wrong, it's just different journeys. And when the kids were with him and I got to spend those 2 weeks by myself, there was a lot of drinking. I'm just gonna be telling you, there was a great deal of drinking, a lot of partying. But that can only last for so long, right? It really can't. And that's when I began to really realize that there was a void, right? And the thing is that you cannot run away from it. I don't care how much alcohol you drink. I don't care what you do. I don't care how many hours you work. You cannot run away from it. You simply cannot. And that's when my journey began, because it's about, for me, it was, what is that void about? And what can I do? Now, I made tons and tons of mistakes along the way, but for me, it was that inner voice. Similar to you, right? I know that I've had gifts since I was 8, but I didn't want to be that weird kid. You know what I mean? I did, and I know that I didn't. And I remember people making fun of a relative because she was gifted. And I was like, oh no, that's not going to be me. I was just like, no. So I knew that I did. No, but I don't want to be. But it's when you begin to dig, and when you begin to do the work, and there was over 15 certifications that I have, right? To get me over 15 certifications, right? To get my first one was the Kundalini teacher. Because I was in the sales position, and I knew there was going to be stress, and I wanted to be able to find the balance so that I was honoring myself. And I thought, oh, yoga sounds like a good thing. People talk about that all the time. So, but I didn't just take a class. No. I became certified. So
because you're an overachiever, so anything you did, you couldn't just kind of, I'll go and do a couple of yoga classes. No, I want to be the next best yoga instructor whilst I'm at it. So if I'm going to go, let me check it out. It's a good thing. Now, how do I certify in this?
Yep, exactly. It was just so much fun. Yeah, it really was. And then when you're in that world, then you meet other people within, right? And next thing you know, 15 certifications later. But I got to say, during the time, yes, I did find that void was my purpose. Right. And that void was about, I was not showing up for myself, and I was being incredibly selfish by not sharing my gifts with others.
Girl, say that again. You were doing what?
Right. And we all do this. We all have gifts. And this is coming really strongly. We all have gifts, but we are afraid of being judged. We're afraid people are going to think we're crazy. Right. I feel like I'm preaching right about now.
I hear you, because I was that chick. I was like, when it first started for me, what used to happen is I could be scrolling through Facebook, or it was mainly Facebook. I'd be scrolling through, and then somebody's name would practically like leap off the screen at me. And it could be somebody I hadn't spoken to in like 3 years. And when I spoke to them 3 years ago, we weren't even that close, right? But something, it was like, say hi. So I would send them a little message, and none of these would respond, right? None of them. Practically almost every time I would do this, nobody would respond. And then I remember catching up with one of said people, and they said, Lovelda, it's really weird. Every time I'm going through something, you message me. I'm really sorry, I never respond. And I was like, oh, that explains a lot. And I remember another occasion, I woke up in the morning and a friend's name just popped into my head, and I ended up sending her this message, which was something like, it's okay, babe, whatever's going on, just know that you're guided. I can't even remember what it was. It wasn't words I would normally use. And she messaged me back, and she said, have you been speaking to such and such? Like, it's a mutual friend of ours. I was like, nah. She said, because I was just up all night last night speaking to them because I'm going through stuff. I had no idea, like absolutely no idea. So I understand when you become aware of these gifts, it's like, what the frick am I supposed to do with this? Where is it helpful? And people are going to think I'm cray cray.
Well, mine started, I have 2 sons. And so I started, most of my stuff comes to me in my dreams. Right. So I would have dreams. And then as I got older, I would leave them a message, and I said, listen, give me a call. I had a dream. So they know. Even to this day, if I call them and I said I had a dream, they know, you know, and it's always just like, let's check in, let's touch base. You know, it's just about, let's connect. That's it. You know, I mean, let's just reconnect. What's going on? But now I actually get those messages. This is my 7th week in a row. And I've been woken up at 4-ish in the morning.
Always 4-ish?
Always 4-ish, sometimes 3-ish, but mostly 4-ish. We'll just leave it at 4-ish. I'm sure when they woke me up at 3, that was a mistake. The time change and all, whatever. But about 4-ish, and I get a list of things, of people to message, just like that. Freaks
Here's
them
your
out.
to-do list.
He does. But it's really magical, right? Because I believe that we are the vessel, right? These things are because that person needs to hear that. Sometimes it's a confirmation. You know, they could be at the part of making a decision. And this message that we send them, it helps them to get to where, you know, it's that little extra pull to help them along their journey. It's magical.
So do you think that this is like a talent, skill, gift, whatever we want to call it, that like a certain special part of the population have? Or do you think that maybe we've all got a bit of it and it's like almost like a varying degree of strength?
I would love to say that we're special, Lovelda, but we're not.
You can't come back on my show.
We all have it. What makes us special is that we are open to receiving it. Everybody has it. Everybody can do this. But you and I opened up the door or the window, whatever you want to call it, to allow the message to show up. That's what makes us special.
I'm going to tell you what it is. I think for me as well, it wasn't just allowing it to show up, because I'm not a guru like you on these things. I just have like inklings. But I used to get these inklings and I never used to pay them any attention. So I don't even think that necessarily it's about allowing them to come, because they were coming before. The door was just locked. It's like, don't come in here. I don't want to hear it. And I did this course years ago around intuition. I'm not even entirely sure why the heck I ended up on it. I went to a weekend thing and then I ended up signing up to this 8-month thing I did twice to learn about intuition. And in doing that, there's this whole game that people ended up playing who were in this training, which was kind of like, you know, let's see if this shit works kind of game. Let's see, you know. So you play it on like stupid things like, the tube is really busy, but I'm going to get a seat. Let's see if this works. You know, dumb things that were like meaningless, not the big things like I really need this money or whatever, just something really frivolous where if it came or it didn't come, it kind of didn't matter. And I remember kind of playing that game. And then the more I played it, I would just get messages like a voice. And the strongest I remember it, my husband, it was my boyfriend at the time, had asked to borrow a video camera of mine. And I got all the way to the bus stop. He was filming something. I got all the way to the bus stop with this video camera. And then as I was at the bus stop, this voice said, do you have the SD cards? And I was like, okay, let me check. So I opened up the camcorder. And of course, there's no SD cards in it. And I'm running late, by the way, which is a thing with me. But I was running, not stupidly late, I was running late already. And then the voice said, you better go back and get it. It's got attitude, by the way. The voice in my head, it's a Tudie voice. It's like full of attitude. And I thought, well, this is a conversation that's going on. Like the attitude voice is saying, go back and get it. And me, like my non-attitude voice is like, but you know, he's got his own. Why the heck do I need to go get it? So eventually at this point, I used to say my intuition's spoken to me. So I sent him this message and I just went, I'm going to be late because my intuition has told me to go get the SD cards. Don't ask. Right? I'm just like, don't ask. It was loud and clear. So I'm just going to follow it. I went back home. I got the SD card. I picked one up. And then this cheeky bastard of a voice goes, and the other one. I was like, for the love. So I had to clamber around the room, pick this SD card up. Anyhow, eventually get to my boyfriend at the time. And I'm like, okay, here's the camcorder. He goes to put his SD cards in and none of them would work. Like just none of them. He had bigger SD cards than me. None of them would work. I wasn't to know this because he had them. They weren't formatted correctly or whatever it was. So I put the first one in and we're getting to the end of the day and the first one filled up. So the second one was needed. And I would have these sorts of things happen quite regularly where I'd like be leaving the house and it'd be like, get your umbrella. But there's no rain. In fact, it's forecasted for sun all day. What the hell am I going to need an umbrella for? And it would just be that I would need it, right? And so over the years, for me, it was stopping questioning the insight. So I don't know that it's that we all just need to allow it. I think we all get it. Was that been your experience?
Absolutely, right. But when I'm talking about the allowance is allowing, like, instead of that doing that talk back and forth, right? Like allowing it to be okay. And after a while, we begin to trust it, mm-hmm. right? So I often get messages for other people, right? Like, tell this person this. So for me, I begin to question. I was like, I'm not going to say that. That's not something I would say. Right, because the language is different, mm-hmm. right? But it's not about us. It's about what that person needs to hear in their words, in their language, something that's going to speak to them, right? Again, we're just the vessel. So I began to question a lot. Or I used to say, listen, I got this thought. I don't know what it means. So, you know what I mean? Like you want to explain yourself so you don't think people don't think you're crazy. Well, I'm done thinking people are crazy. I'm okay if they think I'm crazy. As a matter of fact, my kids call me the crazy lady. They always did. Like, oh God, here comes the crazy lady. And and these are kids who are 6'2", and I'm 5'2". You know what I mean? So it's just kind of funny. We're like, oh God, here comes the crazy lady. But it's beginning to understand that we're the vessel. Right? For you, it came for you. But also it became for the highest use, right? If you would have gone with not the only the camera, then you would have to come back. It's the saving of time, right? Mm-hmm. It's what if you only picked up one, then you have to go back. I believe the intuition is there to guide us, to help us allow things to be easy. However.
Oh, go on. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. However, that's the purpose. However, we want to fight it, don't we?
I mean, sometimes it doesn't make any logical sense. I'm not going to lie. Sometimes it'll be telling me to go left when clearly the direction should be right now. And it's taken, like, to me, it was like trust and intuition ended up, the two needed to coexist for me to actually get the gift of the intuition, because otherwise it's redundant if I'm not going to trust it.
And also, you don't know. Sometimes going left is because you need to run into Susie or Johnny and they need to chat with you, which makes no sense, mm-hmm. right? Or is that stranger, they just needs to have a friendly face, right? We never know why.
Yeah.
But when we begin to stop wondering why, that's to me when the magic happens. So I might start my day with, what adventures can I get into today?
That is a good question.
And this, if you're wondering out there, folks, was like, well, we can't go out. Still, right? You can have an adventure on a call. You can have an adventure with somebody that you meet at a networking event. The
adventure could be making a different sort of meal, clearing out a cupboard, reconnecting with somebody you haven't spoken to in a while. Like, we always seem to think this adventure has to be this big, let me pack my suitcases. Like, go out and about. It doesn't necessarily have to be like that.
No, it's a viewpoint, right? It's about how we choose to look at it. And this is really, really powerful. Speaking of choice, right? A lot of people, and especially now, people are going through some challenging times, but mm-hmm. this applies to no matter what time we're in, right? It's about, think about, is life happening to you or is it happening for you?
Ooh,
If you
say that
just
again,
cling to
girl.
those words, right?
Is it happening to you or for you?
To me,
Okay.
I'm being a victim. Yeah, I got a
Mm,
flat tire, I got a ticket, that's happening to me. But if you choose to put it and it's happening for me, well, you could have avoided the ticket if you had read the instructions. You could have avoided the flat tire if you had have them checked, right? It's happening for a lesson.
hmm.
It's what is the lesson that you need to learn to better prepare for the next time.
So now this kind of brings me a little bit to this where I struggled for ages, when you've got these two worlds, the space which sometimes is arguably a little bit less tangible and can feel quite delusional. In fact, it can look very delusional at times. It's like, why are you sitting on your ass when you should be working? I'm there, I don't feel like it. I just don't feel like it. But I do find there is this fine line between truly being aligned and authentic and moving things forward that are in your highest good, and just going around in circles humming the universe. So how the heck do you bring those two things together such that you're not in, is how I like to put it, imposing yourself upon the universe's good work?
This is $100,000 tip, folks. That's $100,000 question. You really, I always like to put money. I am the money mindset lady. So everything comes with money for me. And that is really, really a good question, because we have a lot of books out there, right? That they tell you, you believe, you do that. Well, yeah, that's half the formula. The other half is that you need to take inspired action.
That word you put before action, say that one again.
Inspired action. And when you're sitting there, it is not that you're meditating, but you have to get that. It has to come from within you, right? And I know this is not going to make much sense to some of us out there, because I've been there. We've both been there, right? But when you begin to feel it from the inside, right? Build it out. Get your diary. Put out the intention for the day, which I do every day. I'm lying just a little bit. I don't do it every day. I have the intention to do it every day, but I don't do it every day. But I do. It happens daily, I'll say.
Mhm.
It just doesn't happen every day in the morning. But it does happen daily, right? Because in order for you to do that, you have to make some phone calls. You need to reach out to people for them to purchase your product or your service or whatever it is. It's usually product or service, right?
Mhm.
But it's what intention you're setting when you do that. If you're
Ooh.
calling out for a potential client and you're calling them with, oh, I hope they sign with me because I really need the money. I need to pay rent. I need to pay the bill. You're not being in the highest and best use. You're not being of service. It's all about you.
But
It's
Chella,
not
what
about
if
what
that
the
shizzle
person.
is true? Like, what if that is actually just my reality? Like, I need this client to say yes right now. Like, what if you're that close and it's a fine line and that is actually truly the experience that I'm having right now? What if that's my truth?
And that is true. And this is definitely a $50,000. We got to start keeping track of how much money we're going to
I'm gonna
make on.
make you a millionaire by the end of this episode, listeners. I'm on it. Don't worry. I'm racking up the bill.
Is about setting the intention, because your bills are there, but putting those bills aside, setting the intention that this client is a match for you, that you are in divine, both of you, she needs your service and you are able to help. It's a mutual understanding. And if that's not the person, then it's let me attract those that are ready for my services, can pay my fee, and I'm able to help. Right? It's about finding that person that's going to be a match for you.
So I'm a play devil's advocate
Oh,
because
good.
I'm a sit firmly in this. It's all right, listeners. I am channeling my inner skeptic. It is all here and strong. I get it, girl. So I need but when it is so true that um yes, it's about finding a match and that's all well and good, but is that not sometimes a luxury? Like I'm on the brink, and I'm really in that space where I can't see otherwise, and I'm heading to that space of desperation, or I am actually in a space of desperation. If that's the reality I'm experiencing, how the heck am I supposed to get on call with somebody and still kind of be okay and just go, oh, you know what, it's fine, they're just not a vibrational match.
It also could be they can't afford me, but they're not a vibrational match. Absolutely. Because when you say no to that person, you can also ask them, do you know somebody else that might be in need of my services? That's not a no. Let's be real, folks. We're in here for business, and we all need to keep the lights on. So I get it. But if you go against your and we've all done it. I'm right here. Absolutely. I've been there, right? But when you begin to say, no, that's not a match, and you move on to the next person is going to show up. And instead of getting one client, you're going to get two. Mm-hmm. It's the trust. But also, we're going to take it even deeper. Because now we need to find out why you're in the current situation that you're in.
Oh no, I don't know that we want to talk about that. I'm just channeling the inner skeptics. They all just went like this. No. Because we need to look forward, not backwards. Forward, not backwards.
There's a reason why you got yourself into that situation. There's a reason why you're at this point in time, right? And there's no judgment. It's something that's in the past, and we can let it go and we can move forward. But there's a reason why that person decided to create chaos for themselves, right? Because we thrive on the chaos. Mm-hmm. We thrive on the keeping busy. We thrive on leaving things for the last minute. And that's okay. But when you begin to notice that, that's when you begin to make shifts. And that's when you get yourself and you get into the state of mind that you need to be in when making the calls. And instead of making 3 calls, you're going to make 5 phone calls. And instead of making the 5,000, you're going to say, I'm going to make 10,000, right? Because the more you help people, the more money you make.
What's interesting that's just occurred to me in this conversation is that it's almost, because I used to say, like, I used to have a really messed up relationship with money. Like, it literally was running my life. And not necessarily always in a good way, folks. Like, sometimes I was just like, I am actually money's bitch. Like, it's the wrong way around. You know, it's here, I'm happy. It's not here, I'm sad. Like, why are my emotions so connected to it? And in this conversation, I was just thinking, surely it must be similar to some sort of addiction, where the breaking the habit of that addiction, like if I was, not that I've ever been in any, so I mean, the worst I do is I like a good glass of wine. So, I mean, I don't even smoke cigarettes, but my imagination or my understanding, very loose, I'm not an addiction specialist, is that there's a chemical reaction that actually that first period, the reason why some people who've been in addictions for a while have to go into, have to take themselves out and go into a very structured system in order to break that addiction, is there patterns of behavior and thinking that go on for a while, and you need to be free of them for a little while. And it's not necessarily always easy to do yourself. And I think the challenge with the money addictions that we have, in terms of the sordid games that we continuously play, the lots of money, no money, lots of money, no money, the, you know, always just enough at the end of the month, whatever your version of the money game is, just as soon as I get on my feet, something always knocks me over, whatever that pattern is. It's an addiction, but it's much more subtle, because people don't kind of go, you're an alcoholic, you're a drug addict, it doesn't have that same sort of label associated with it, but it's not healthy. And continuing to do the behavior, it's not healthy, and it's not necessarily easy to change. Takes courage, and it's uncomfortable.
It takes courage, but it is easy if we talk to our monkeys, the skeptics, whatever we want to call them, that keeps going on. And there's actually a book, Money Drunk, Money Sober, and he talks just about that, because we keep going in and out, whether it's in relationships, whether we do it with food, whether we do it with work, I'm not pointing any fingers, but are there any people out there that work the 10 hours, 14 hours a day, right? So they're all addictions. They're all addictions. And the same thing with money. So that's the 5 things, right? Because is that high and low that we go through, right? And it's a high. Let us be honest. It is a high. But also we enjoy the low, especially when it comes to the money.
Well, you don't get to experience the high unless you've had a few like white knuckle moments where you're like, oh my gosh, I'm playing Russian roulette with the cash machine. Is it in there? Is it in there?
Exactly. But it's all the same thing, right? But it goes back. I know, but it goes back to the programming that we received when we were kids. Is what I know, we don't want to go that far, but we do. Because if you think about what was that pattern that we picked up, what were those beliefs that around money that were gifted to you? And now it's time to give them back. They were gifted to you.
You saying gift like it's a gift I wanted.
You took it. It may not want it now, but it was a gift that was gifted to us.
Can I send it back? Did it come with a return slip?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's identifying what that was. What was the gift? For me, my gift, and I have decent parents. You know, they were good. They were good. One incredibly hardworking dad. And for him, it was you have to work hard for your money. So that was a gift that he gave me. And I did. The first, the wife, the full-time job, and I did that. But when I went out and I got paid for my first speaking gig, oh my God, boy, were those monkeys very loud. So it was a programming. It's all a programming from my childhood. So we can choose to let them go and give the gift back. We can do that, I believe, by journaling. Or we can simply choose to upgrade our programming. You have many choices. Some people may choose to go whichever one. There is no right or wrong. If you upgrade it, this is a $250,000 tip, folks.
I'm gonna have to go back and take my calculator out and work out how much I made, y'all. I'm heading for the million. I tell you, these questions are going to take you there. Just do everything from all these tips, $1 million. Heading for it.
Yeah, we're at 400 right now. But who's keeping track?
I'm kind of loosely keeping track. A little bit further to go.
But the upgrade, right? Because if we want to upgrade, you can choose that person that's going to be responsible with money. You can choose to have that money in the account. You can choose, you can create the identity of that person and run with it. Is it going to be spooky? Yes. Are the monkeys going to get in the way? Yes. But if you're able to do this for 90 days, I know people say 67, whatever it is. I say go for the 90. What do you have to lose?
In for a penny, in for a pound.
But if you're able to do that, you can create the new personality, the new identity of that person. You're just upgrading. We upgrade our computer. We upgrade our phone all the time. Why not upgrade the programming that we received? Let it go and upgrade it. That's it. I know it sounds like, well, no, it doesn't sound. So we're going to put in the show notes some books that I think are I don't think. Some books that are going to help you on your journey to that. And the first
one, Money Drunk, Money Sober.
The first one's going to be Money Drunk, Money Sober. The other ones is The Wisdom of Florence Scovel Shinn. You just go to YouTube, you're going to be able to find her. I listen to that at least once a year because I always learn something from it.
Okay.
It's incredibly.
That can be your Christmas gift to yourself. This is on your personal Christmas list for you.
That could be your birthday gift. That could be your whatever holiday you happen. It doesn't have to be. It could be, gosh darn it, I deserve it. I'm enough. I'm treating myself. It doesn't have to be.
Gift it to yourself.
Right? It's really, really incredible. Talk to what to say to yourself, like your life depends on it.
What to say to yourself like your life depends on it. Folks, I'm writing this down to add this to the notes. So y'all just keep listening in.
those are going to be the books, because we got to go back and we got to release and let go whatever trauma we've brought from our childhood, and we all have it. I don't care if you lived in a well-to-do family or if you were struggling to pay rent as your parents. It doesn't matter. We all have some type of programming that we just need to let go and create our new. Listen, think of it as a superhero. What's your superhero? What will they do?
Yeah.
Because when you take that, it just makes life so much easier.
Girl, you done fast forwarded, because I was here just about to say to you, what tips exactly could you give somebody? Like, you were just like 3 steps ahead. I was about to ask, like, what tips could you give to somebody who may be in that experience of struggle right now, where they need something to shift? And I know what that's like, when what's here right now and then what you're asking me to do, it feels like a luxury. So if that's you, there are 3 books in the show notes that you should be purchasing right now, provided it's safe for you to do so. I don't want nobody crashing or down cars. Okay, don't do it. But you can come back and get those notes. Thank you so much. Like, it's so, there are so many layers to this conversation that this could be like a 15-part show, but I'm not going to do that to people. I could be there for a 15-part show. What I really want to hear from you is, I find that everybody's got a slightly different expression of what power is, because it comes from our own viewpoints of the world. And so hearing how you deconstruct wealth and money and intuition, I'm just really curious as to what you define as a woman's power. What do you think it is makes women powerful?
For me, it has been speaking your voice. Staying in the room and staying in the conversation, not walking away. And I don't mean to argue necessarily, but voicing. And I can tell you that I haven't always, absolutely haven't always. But also note, becoming aware when is the right time, right? Not because you're afraid they're going to judge, but I say, don't ever argue with an idiot. Right? Because it doesn't matter what you say, it doesn't matter. But when you do that, it's about power is speaking your voice, but most importantly, knowing when to do that. Because there's times where you just don't want to waste your breath. You don't want those people you don't want to give them credit. Because if you argue with an idiot, you're just proving that there's 2 idiots in the room. So
and I think it's a really beautiful point, because I find sometimes that women on their journey to empowerment can almost flip from extremes. I didn't say anything. Now I'm going to let everybody know what I think. Right? You are going to know about it, and you're going to know about it because I am an empowered woman, right? And the truth is, there's no goodness, and I'd say no good comes of it, but it's not always a effective communication. I don't want to say impactful, it's just not normally effective, because sometimes it didn't need to be said. You're only saying it to show to show up, to be like, listen, I'm here. But did you need to say it? What were you expecting to come from this space? Was it to grow? Was it a release for you? Like, what was to come from it? So I love that distinction between not just speaking up, but having the wisdom to know when to speak up and when not to. And not feel like not saying anything in that moment is now taking away from your internal power.
That's definitely $100,000 tip, folks. Because it really truly is. You just painted a beautiful picture. Because sometimes you're going to hurt more than you're going to help yourself by doing that. I understand that maybe you didn't speak in the past. I know I didn't, but that doesn't mean that you're going to go out. It's about, because in that room that you're about to go out and just vomit on everything, that could be a referral. It could be a collaboration partner that you're there. There could be tons of gold, meaning relationships that you could really build on. But now you just blabbed, and now they don't have such a good impression of you, right? So that's number one issue, because you never know who's in the room. And 2, is it ego or is it really truly, right? Because when the ego takes over, you're not doing the right thing.
I can give you an example of it. I've got these internships out at the moment. And I'm one of these people, I've got this thing right now where I'm inviting people to come and work with me, unpaid internships, but I give them big roles, like take over the podcast, like, literally like really juicy roles. And I'm very transparent about it. And I get it's not for everybody. But this one person decided it would be a good idea to come at me. When they came at me, it was like, I don't think it's acceptable. I've done all of this stuff, blah, 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 blah. And when I went to respond, I thought, it took me a moment because I'm like, why am I responding? Am I responding in order to justify myself so I can feel good? Is it about me trying to convince this person that I'm right and they're wrong, or that my point is valid? Am I trying to be validated in some way? Like, no, it's not that bad. So I made a deliberate point that I didn't justify why I do what I do. Like, I don't have to justify it. Instead, I think the position I took was, look, I don't know why you wasted your breath contacting me, because it's clear you're not right for the role. It's not a role that you want. So I'm just bemused as to why you've taken precious life force to connect with me in this way. And here are some other places you can go, because I get that there are people who are hurting in this space where the revenue is more important to you at the moment versus the learning, which is fine. Here are some great places where you can find those things. And please just don't assume that everybody who's saying that there's an internship and it's not paid is doing it from a space of exploitation. Like, that's just my request of you. Not that it did any different. Like they just came back harder and stronger. At that point, I was like, I'm out. But my point being, there's a fine line in those scenarios when something's been touched on, triggered, pulled at, like a little nerve has just been like, tick, 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 tick.
They're the mirror. A lot of the time people are a mirror for us. And if they get a reaction out of us, I would invite for us to think, and I recently got one actually. And I was like, oh my heavens. And so I got my reaction, and I did go off, not at anybody, at myself. I was like, I can't believe that. And then by the time I drove home, I was like, oh, what can we learn from this? Right? But it's about what can we learn when somebody triggers you. They're being a mirror. That does not mean that there's not so smart people out there. No, but also they're on their journey, right? We don't know what their journey is about. I just care that when they trigger you, you ask yourself, what am I meant to learn from this? And what you did, right? Phenomenal job. You took a minute and you asked the questions before you reacted.
Yeah, because I was about to go in and justify myself. I was about to go in and be like, I'm a good human. Like, really, honestly, please believe me, I'm a good human. And I just thought, I don't need to justify myself to you. So I thought, well, what do I want to do? I want to help. Here's something I can do to help. And if you insist, and I just invite you to maybe just not come at everybody in the same way, because I don't understand how it's helpful. But at that point, I'm detached. I don't need to get sucked into the dialogue. And I know sometimes when people find their voice, there's a trigger, and then they're actually in reaction, but they'll tell you they're being empowered. But it's not empowerment. It's just, I am right, or please like me, or mine was please like me, I'm a good human, was where I was about to go until I took out any reference to why I do it in the way that I do, any justification for it, because I thought I don't need to do that. I'm just doing it because I'm wanting this. It's happened, and I'm now questioning whether or not I'm a good person. That's it. And the truth is, the role he was getting upset about is one that I'm actually really excited about, and I think it's huge value for somebody. So that really kind of made it a little bit easier. But it is that piece of being able to deconstruct it and take a beat versus just, I'm feeling a certain way, I'm gonna speak up, I'm gonna let you know what I think.
Yeah, it's the internal work, right? We go back to the internal work, because when you let that, have you reacted, you let that person take your power away.
You don't give away the power you say you fighting for. Speaking of power, you have been dropping, I think we're close to the $1 million. We're almost there. Powerful tips galore that will be transformational for those listening who take action on it. Something I just know that this is going to make shifts for so many people. And so for me, when I meet somebody like you who's so articulate in being able to pinpoint these little things that can, 1-degree things that have a huge shift, that's incredibly powerful. I'm then curious about how the heck you got there. Like, what are your power tools? Like, what's the innate things about you that have you be really successful? So I'm gonna ask you about your 3 power tools.
This
Now,
is
if you
it.
join the show, mhm, if you join the show for the first time, I ask all of my guests this, and the 3 power tools I define as tools, techniques, or ways of being that have enabled their success in life and business. So basically, if we don't take everything you ever done in life, in business, romance, don't matter, and we boil it all down and say these 3 things have been pivotal to where I am today. I want to know what the 3 things are. Let's start with number 1. Mm-hmm. I'm getting us to that 100,000. Promise.
No, we're getting us to 1 million now. But no, she did. Well, we just say the way of being, because that's exactly what it is, right? It's a way of being, and you can choose to be lazy and eat chips and do that, or you can choose to take inspire action. There's no right or wrong. And listen, sometimes I choose to just eat the chips. I got to say, right? You do. There's days where it's like, I'm not doing anything. But you at least know that you're choosing that. But for me, what's really good about that is integrity, right? Because saying what you're going to say and doing it, integrity, yes, with other people. But I got to tell you, most people are really good about integrity with others. We're not so good about integrity with us. So when I started being integral with me, and only doing the things that were going to be in the best and highest use for me first. It's not that I'm not kind, but it's about, I don't want to do other things. But when I put myself first, others. So integrity, but integrity with yourself. Because
first and foremost, beyond it being anybody else.
If we do it with you, especially women, I'm going to take one side note for women, because women, we give. But then it comes a point where we're giving from an empty cup. And when we do that, we're not being of service. But when you begin to fill your cup first, then we have more to give. And then we can see things from a different perspective. And we can see things, and that's when we begin to. So integrity is definitely, but also with yourself, right? It's about, can you say you're going to do 5 minutes of yoga and stick to it? Whatever that is, read 2 pages of a book, whatever that is for you. And don't take on commitments because of what the other person is going to think. Take commitments because of what's going to do for you. Do we sometimes have to take commitments? Yes, we do. That's part of it, right? But that's just a very small portion. Majority of the time, it should be because it's in alignment with something you want to do. Been there, done that. We could talk, we can have a whole show just on integrity and some of the things that I have done. Connectors. What if you become that person that's able to connect Susie to Johnny or vice versa, right? Become the connector, really be of service. What if you, for 30 days, and I'm currently doing this, so this is why it's so fresh in my mind. What if for 30 days, one of my coaches assigned this? Well, he didn't assign it. He said, no, whoever wants to take on the task.
Here's a serving suggestion.
What if you are in service for 30 days? You are of help to somebody at least once a day. That's it. For 30 days, you are of service. And this is business related, absolutely business related. I'm not saying give away your services for free, but can you become a connector? Can you connect somebody? Can you share a resource? What can you do for 30 days where you are of service at least once a day?
I love that as an exercise, especially for people who are kind of quite open in a sort of space in terms of things being in flow. And I find that often sometimes when there's a clog in the money flow, it's normally because ain't nothing being gone out for a while. It's like, I've been like, come over here, gimme, 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 but there hasn't been anything flowing out. And that doesn't necessarily mean that it's spending of money, but it might be spending of time, spending of energy, spending of life source. It might be just being on that call with a client for an extra 10 minutes because that's what they really need. It might be, just something where it doesn't necessarily need to be money out of your pocket, that the spend money to make money. It's kind of like the spend energy to get energy, and money is just another energy form. I'm just saying.
Gold, right? Because time is more precious than money, right? Because you can always go out and get an additional client, or by spending that additional 10 minutes with a client, they already had a brilliant idea that's going to make them more money, which in turn is going to give you a bonus. Or they think about somebody else that could use your service and going to do the referral, right? But the key here is to give with no attachment, right? So if
You
I
just
send,
bolted that little gem on right at the end. So this is not about sitting down and going, what can I do that's going to attract people like a lead magnet? This is just you going, I don't know, but I'm just going to give away a free audit today just because.
exactly, and know that if I do something for Lovelda, she doesn't necessarily need to get back to me, right? It doesn't happen that way, right? Just be in the flow. Just pretend we're a river going, it's a river in the water, we're the water. There is no keeping track. Well, I gave you a referral, so now you have to give me a referral. It doesn't work that way. Be of service and we will love to hear from you. If you're of service for 30 days, see what comes back to you. Not expecting it. You're not expecting, you're not anticipating, you're just being of service. By day number 10, you're like, oh my God, why don't I do this every day? Because it begins to come back to you in ways that you cannot even dream of.
So just play the game freely for no gain, like not for any upside, just for the love of it. And I think that's the bit that helps you get to that space where there's no attachment. I'm just doing it for the love of it, like just cause. Today, what gift do I want to give to the world? Let me just give this away. I'm just going to give somebody my time. But it always comes back. And like you said, it's not necessarily a direct correlation. Sometimes it comes back in a completely different way through somebody else. So no need to keep no tabs. The universe is doing a very good job.
All you need to do is keep track of the 30 days. That's all. That's the only task. Day 1, day 2, day 3. Now, I don't know that this is cheating a little bit, but there was one day where I was able to be of help to 3 people. I counted that as 3 people, right? I did. I want to get to that 30. So the idea is to be of service to 30 people. It can take up to 30 days. I'm not taking 30 days. I'm speeding up that train.
Just like, let me just get this done in 7. Like,
okay, 10 days. But you know what I mean? It's how can you be of service with 30 people with not wanting to have anything back in return? Doing it from the heart.
Take the challenge up, folks, and let us know how you get on. Follow us on Instagram. It's at Lovelda Show, and let us know how you get on. Chella, my goodness, girl. Ooh. So your power tools, we've got being, we've got connectedness, and we've got integrity. And we don't skim the surface of that because there is a show in each one of those. I'm just like, okay, so there's going to be people who are just like basking in, like, what do you want to call it? Gold nugget, awakening moment after awakening moment, where they're just like mind blown right now. And they are now kind of sitting here going, I need whatever the heck it is that this woman has got. How does somebody connect with you?
My website, chelladiaz.com. No need, if you're driving, no need. There's going to be on the show notes. The best way is chelladiaz.com. Chella, Chella, on Facebook. I'm going to be doing lots of different tips. I want it to be a resource for you. I want you to be able to go in and find whatever it is that you're looking for around money mindset, about getting your money journey on track.
Oh, boom, all in the notes. And you came with goodies. You got like a freebie or something. We like goodies.
We do, don't we? And we do. And I'm about to start doing actually tonight, whenever you're listening to the show. But they're going to be on Facebook, Chella. They're going to be the videos, and there's going to be tips to help you prepare for the holidays. Now, it doesn't matter what holidays, just holidays, period, with anniversary, birthdays. We're just lumping all of them together into holidays. Let me share the tools so that you can be prepared. And when I say prepare, things that are going to help you save money. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, prepared.
In the notes, you said like magic words in my ear. It's like save money. You left that right till the end. I'm gonna have to go join the group. You'll find me in there too, folks. So all of the links are in the notes. Remember, we have got a new Instagram channel. Go check us out, Lovelda Show. Yep, in the notes. Chella, we talked about so much, like more than I was thinking we were going to talk about much. And we've gone deep and we've gone wide at the same time. I'm not entirely sure how the heck we've managed it. But if there was just one thing that guests listening are left with, if you could just leave us with like a one thought, if they took nothing else but this, what would it be?
Start taking action. Small action. If it means you listen to a book on YouTube, I'm not asking you to invest any money. I'm asking you to invest time. Take an action. Start moving towards that. And know that you have a choice. You can choose to stay stuck, or you can choose to start moving forward. Take an action. And even if it's no action, know and be honest with yourself that you're not taking any action. Be proud of that, right? Own it. I'm not taking action. I'm not ready. It's okay. But start taking an action and know that you're doing that. Be conscious about it.
Be conscious, take action. And if your action is inaction, own it, girls. Just own it. Own it. Chella, you have been exceptional, exquisite, delicious. Yum. We are totally out of time. If you aren't already subscribed, you need to hurry up on and get that done. Make sure you check the notes for my upcoming offers because they'll all be in there. I've got some stuff launching in the new year, so do check in the show notes for those things before you miss out on the good, juicy deals. And follow us on Instagram. Until next time, Chella, thank you, amazing, awesome, beautiful, blessed soul, for gracing us with your presence. We very much appreciate it. And as for you listening in, go out and take action. Go, like now. Ciao.